You know that feeling, right? Settling into your seat, buckling up, and then that incredible push as the plane just rockets down the runway? But as you're climbing up through the clouds, there's a much, much bigger story unfolding than just your trip from A to B. And that's exactly what we're going to explore today. I mean, we all worry about the weight of our luggage, don't we? But have you ever stopped to think about the true weight of the flight itself? And I don't just mean cargo. I'm talking about its economic weight, its impact on all of us, on global society, and of course, its footprint on our planet. That's the real question we're unpacking in this explainer. So to guide us through this, we're going to lean on one core concept: sustainability. It's a really simple but incredibly powerful idea. It's all about finding a balance that works not just for us right now, but for everyone who comes after us. And for an industry like aviation, which is literally connecting our present while shaping our future, well, this concept isn't just important, it's everything. Now, a lot of people hear sustainability and just think green, but it's so much more than that. The best way to think about it is like a three-legged stool, sometimes called the triple bottom line: profit, people, and planet. See, if any one of those legs is too short or too long, the whole system just gets wobbling and unstable. So let's take a look at each one. First up, let's talk about profit. It's simple, really. Before an airline can be green, it has to be in the black. Economic sustainability is all about that fundamental challenge of just surviving in what is a fiercely competitive global industry. The industry is in this constant push and pull. On one side, you've got airlines doing everything they can to optimize routes and pour money into new tech to save fuel and cut costs. But on the other side, they're facing these huge external pressures, things like green taxes driving up costs, geopolitical chaos, and even just how we, the passengers, feel about flying. It's a really high-stakes economic tightrope walk. Okay, so let's move on to our second pillar and see how this all connects: people. Because aviation's impact goes way beyond the balance sheet. It fundamentally shapes our global society. You don't have to take my word for it. The International Air Transport Association, IATA, they put it perfectly. Flying isn't just a service. It's a catalyst. It's the engine that helps plug entire countries into the global marketplace, driving growth and productivity on a scale that's hard to even imagine. And when I say the scale is massive, I mean it. To give you a little snapshot, back in 2015, the industry supported almost 57 million jobs around the world. That is an absolutely incredible number of livelihoods, families, and communities, all tied to our ability to fly. And the economic footprint? A staggering $2 trillion. And look, this isn't just ticket sales we're talking about. This is the entire ecosystem of tourism, trade, and business that just wouldn't exist on this scale without a strong aviation network. So you see, its social value is totally tied to its economic power. But you know, beyond the trillions of dollars, the impact is also deeply personal, isn't it? Aviation is what connects families across continents. For some remote communities, it's literally a lifeline to the outside world. And by making global tourism possible, it can be a really powerful tool for pulling people out of poverty in developing nations. And this is where we hit a really crucial point of tension. The boom in low-cost airlines has been amazing, right? It's made air travel accessible to more people than ever before, and that's a huge social positive. But the great irony is that this very success story is what's directly fueling the industry's growing environmental challenges. And we absolutely cannot forget aviation's role when a crisis hits. It is the backbone of humanitarian aid. It's how we get doctors, supplies, and relief teams into places that are otherwise completely cut off from the world. When disaster strikes, air transport saves lives. Period. Which brings us inevitably to our third and final pillar: the planet. Because for all of its incredible benefits, aviation leaves a pretty significant footprint, and figuring out how to manage it is the challenge that's going to define its future. You see, the environmental picture is, well, it's complicated. It isn't just about CO2. The industry has to juggle a whole range of issues, from the noise we hear on the ground, to the quality of the air around airports, to the much broader climate impact, and even the waste it produces. So on a local level, two of the big ones are noise and air quality. Noise has pretty much always been the #1 complaint for communities living near airports. And on the air quality side, you've got engine emissions, like oxides of nitrogen or NOx, which is a major pollutant affecting the immediate area. But then, when we zoom out to the global scale, the picture gets even more complex. Of course, you've got greenhouse gases like CO2, but planes also release tiny particles like soot. And maybe most visibly, they create contrails, those long white trails in the sky, which can also trap heat and contribute to warming. And it's not just about what's coming out of the engines either. Managing waste is a whole other piece of the puzzle. Just think about all the electronics packed into a modern aircraft. When they get old, we're left with hazardous stuff, from mercury in monitors to lead on circuit boards. It's a kind of hidden but really important part of the whole environmental story. So you might be wondering, what's the industry actually doing about all this? Well, they're collaborating. In response to these challenges, you've got these cool initiatives popping up, like Aspire and Inspire, that bring together airlines, air traffic controllers, and airports to find new, innovative ways to fly more efficiently. And these aren't just for show. They're getting real results. The Inspire partnership alone, just in one specific zone over the Indian Ocean, has managed to cut annual CO2 emissions by over 10,000 tons. That's a tangible sign that when people work together, they can make a real difference. Okay, so let's bring it all together. What we've really seen is that aviation is in this constant, really dynamic balancing act between these three critical pillars: profit, people, and the planet. At the end of the day, the future of flight isn't about choosing one pillar over the others. It's about figuring out how to navigate the incredibly complex trade-offs between them. How do you stay profitable while pouring money into green tech? How do you give more people access to travel without cranking up emissions? These are the defining questions. Which leaves us with this one final crucial question. As we look to the future, with everything from sustainable fuels to electric aircraft on the horizon, can innovation and technology actually solve this puzzle? Can we find a way to keep connecting our world without it costing us the Earth? That is the flight plan we all need to figure out.